it's Ambria Kamau, and this is Q&A Tuesday, your one-stop shop for all things selfish. Today, I take questions from you, the viewers, and our question comes from Jessica from Washington, D.C. I'm 17 and a senior in high school. I have a friend who is always asking me to do something for her. I want to say no, but I feel like if I do, I'm not being a true friend. Plus, I don't want to get her upset. What do I do? Well, as toddlers, saying no is one of the first and easiest words for us to say. I remember when I was a child, I was doing something or I was into something and my mother told me not to do it, but of course, me being me, I'm going to do it. So, I proceeded to go ahead and try to do whatever it was, and I thought I either heard her or saw her coming after me, so I took off running, slipped, and busted my lip. To this day, I still have that scar on my lip. You probably don't see it, but when I look in the mirror, it is still very much so there. As we get older, no tends to be one of the hardest words for us to say. We may be thinking it in our minds when somebody asks us to do something, but I can assure you, when we open up our mouths, yes comes out. Girl, bye. It is over for that. You are not being selfish if you say no. I know that we are probably told that, but you're not. Your first priority is yourself. If you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of nobody else. Now I want us to do an exercise. Do this with me. I want you to take a deep breath in and exhale. Part your lips and say it with me. No. Now you see how easy that was and how good I'm sure it felt? Now let's do it with a little bit of attitude in it. No. Now I'm sure that felt even better because I know it did for me. Now there are 3 ways that people tend to say no, because of course we all say it at some point, but we don't say it the same. The first is passive. Now this person will say no, but they're going to offer some explanation as to why they cannot do it. An example would be, no, I'm sorry, I can't take you to the airport. I don't get off work till 6, and my boss is really mean, so she's not going to let me off early. Now that's not necessarily the best way that you want to say it, because generally when you offer the explanation, it may be a poor one, or it may even be a lie, because you're just afraid to say no and stop. You want to feel like you have to give them something. The second way is offensive. Now this person has no problem with saying no at all. They'll say no, and they may not necessarily offer an explanation for it. Their thing is, no, are you seriously asking me to do that? Now this can seem like an attack on the person that asked them to do something for them, so you don't necessarily want to come at them like that. You want to say no, and if you do offer an explanation, it be brief and it be honest. And this is bringing me to my third way, assertive. And as I said, they say no, and they may leave it at that. An example is, I'm sorry, I cannot do this. I have a prior obligation. What I want to say is, an explanation is not an obligation. It's a common courtesy. You don't always have to provide an explanation as to why you don't do something. Now you may be asking, Ambria, why should I say no? Well, I'm glad you asked. There are 3 reasons why you should say no. And the first is, your first obligation is you. You have to take care of what you have to do. That takes precedence over anything that someone else asks you to do. Like I said before, you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of someone else. The second thing is fighting the stress bug. You know yourself, you have a lot on your plate, and adding someone else's stuff onto yours can of course cause more stress, which can result in burnout, which can also cause sicknesses and any kind of physical illness, and you don't need none of that. Our third thing is people are going to become dependent on you. If you're constantly saying yes, yes, and yes to someone else, you're alleviating them of their personal responsibilities and carrying that burden on you, and you don't need that. Allow them to take care of their own while you take care of what you have to do. So now we've discussed why you should say no and the different ways that people say no. Now I'm going to read some information from chapter 3 of my book on how to say no and remain assertive while doing it. So number 1, when someone asks you to do something, don't necessarily feel like you have to give an immediate response. Let them know, I'll think about it and I'll get back to you. because if you initially respond to them right then, more than likely you're going to say yes to them. This gives you that time to really get your thoughts together. So if you want to say no, you can prepare and say it to them the right way. The second thing, analyze your current priorities. What are your personal obligations? Like I said, that takes precedence over what anybody else asks you to do. You have to take care of yourself first. Can you really afford to take it on? With all the stuff that you have to do, really, can you honestly do and do it successfully what they ask you to do for them? The third thing, make a conscious decision as to whether or not you're going to do it. You have to weigh the pros and the cons. You have to know, if I do this, how is it going to benefit me, or how is it going to negatively affect me? Because once again, and I'll keep reiterating it, it is about you. What works best for you. The last thing you want to do is state your decision. Now you've decided what you're going to do. You've made that decision in your head, okay, I'm not going to be able to do this. Well, now you have to tell them that. And this is better face to face, because calling someone over the phone, or as we do now, texting them, is not always going to work, because it doesn't necessarily show them that you're serious. It can leave room for persuasion. If they can't see your facial expressions, they may think that you're not as firm on your response as you are. So you want to have a face-to-face conversation. And the first thing you want to do is start out with saying no. Don't offer an explanation yet. Start out saying no, because once you say no, it can become a little easier after that to remain firm on your response. You want to make sure that your tone remains consistent and that your gestures do also. Stand firm on your response. And if for some reason you want to do something and you're not able to do it, but really if you could, you would, make sure that that sincerity and that sympathy is shown through your voice. That it's not necessarily, as I said before, offensive, but it's assertive, but you have that bit of sympathy for them to let them know, honestly, I want to do it, but I can't do it right this second. And they will understand. Don't ever feel like saying no to someone is bad. It is about you. I can't say that enough. It is about you. You don't want to add on the unnecessary time, stress, and energy trying to do something for someone else when you haven't taken care of what you have to do. Remember, take care of you first, because you are what's most important. I hope you found these tips today helpful. Of course, for more information, please feel free to get a copy of my book. Yes, I'm selfish and proud of it. You can purchase it at my website, www.ambriakamel.com or amazon.com. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at AmbriaKamel, Instagram, which is also AmbriaKamel, and Facebook, which is Ambria_Kamel. Once again, thank you all for joining me, and I hope to see you next Tuesday. I love you for watching. I'm a worldwide woman,